Hey everyone, Maz here, and I'm back with my man Foch. Foch, what are we doing today?
Today we're smoking the EP Carrillo Pledge.
Ooh, I'm ready to get into that baby. Former #1 cigar of the year.
Yep.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. That's good.
It's good.
Watch that lip smacking. You don't want to get any, you know.
Oh, I heard, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't look at the comments.
You went over
but-
your lip smacking quota.
How many do I get per video?
Well, don't ask me. Ask the guy who complained about it out there. But you got to watch. I know cigars taste good, and they're lip smacking good. Just try to put a silencer on that lip smack.
I'm going to.
All right?
How's this?
You got all that muffled here.
How's this? Ready? Watch.
Yeah, let me hear. Better.
Good?
It's muffled.
Can't hear it.
No, I like that. Yeah.
No, it's good.
It is good,
it's
right?
spicy through the nose, good flavor on the palate, maybe a little bit of hickory and leather.
Yeah. Good assessment right off the go. It definitely has a lot of spice to start the cigar. You know, Foch, it's been a while since I actually smoked this blend. In the beginning, obviously, when it got the rating, of course, I couldn't get enough of it.
Right.
I mean, even though I didn't need confirmation from Cigar Aficionado, which was awesome, they got a 98.
How many years ago was that now?
That was 2020.
Oh, all right.
So in 2020, it got a 98 rating with,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken, it's probably one of the highest ratings.
I think it is. I think it's one of the highest ratings they ever gave for
Right.
#1.
Yeah, Foch, 2020 was the year. It received a 98 in Cigar Aficionado. It won Cigar of the Year. And the crazy thing is, it was a new cigar that year. You know, it was like released to the marketplace, got great acclaim, 98 rating, became Cigar of the Year in Cigar Aficionado. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of Ernie's blends. You know, EPC, if everyone out there that you don't know, that's his initials, Ernesto Perez Carrillo.
Correct.
Right? So yeah, he's kind of like the OG when it comes to boutique brands, when you think about it. You know, he started La Gloria Cubana in Miami years ago.
Which is still very popular.
Very popular brand. Obviously, had sold the brand, got out of the industry, and as we always say, our industry is like no other industry. He found himself back in the industry again, started EPC Cigars, and really never looked back. Highly rated cigars, #1 cigar of the year in the pledge. He had the previously #2 cigar of the year, but always receives outstanding ratings as Cigar Aficionado.
Well deserved, yeah.
Yeah, Ernie's got a great palate. You know, the original La Gloria Cubana at the time was a very groundbreaking cigar out of Miami. You know, first of all, very few rollers in the factory, small production. Dominican and Nicaraguan tobaccos were on the inside of that cigar, right? And he used a Sumatra wrapper. And it was really an innovative, different blend that really took the industry by storm. And then Cigar Aficionado gave it an extremely high rating, and the rest is history. But now with Ernie's new blends, they're definitely different style.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the pledge here is a very unique blend. You know, the wrapper is actually grown in Connecticut.
Cuban seed.
Cuban seed, which is, you know, unusual.
Right.
Obviously, from a higher primer, you could tell it's a beautiful
It is.
dark wrapper.
So dark and oily.
Right? Ecuadorian binder, which you usually see Ecuador usually in wrapper.
Right.
Right? And then it has Nicaraguan tobaccos on the inside. So you're talking about building layers of flavor, which seems to be Ernie's calling card when it comes to blends for sure.
I remember back in the day, I think it was like '04 when I was working downtown for Holt's. We did an event with Ernie.
Yeah.
And
He's a saint.
He was a great guy.
Great guy.
He gave everybody, all the employees, a nice sampler with like, I can't remember what that cigar was that he came out with. They were all like figurados. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't
Anyway,
I don't remember that.
But he gave us all a nice sampler, signed it. Great guy.
Yeah, no, Ernie's a very soft-spoken guy. I've been in his company many times. You know, his family's involved in the industry now as well. His daughter Lisette is very hands-on. Does a lot of the social media videos. They do a great job of promoting their product. But I mean, he's a guy that it's easy to root for him and his family. because they really put their blood, sweat, and tears into their product, and it shows.
Yeah, you definitely could tell.
Yeah, I mean, those ratings in Cigar Aficionado are no accident.
Speaking of his family, Maz, on each side of the band, which is pretty cool. There's a picture of his mother and his daughter,
You know
which
what?
is pretty cool.
That is very cool. I've never noticed that. I'm so busy enjoying the cigar.
Yeah.
And now that I'm looking, I could definitely see that's Lisette on the one side. And I've never met, obviously, Ernie's mom. But that's a really cool part of their history of the family,
Yeah.
right? It's a nice little, kind of tribute to the women in the family.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But great story, great
Yeah.
family, and obviously great blends. Strength-wise, I put the Pledge definitely medium to full.
Yeah, it's medium to full. What other flavors you picking out?
I definitely get leather, as you said. I get dark chocolate, kind of almost like bittersweet chocolate.
Okay.
And there's definitely a nuttiness to it, kind of like almost maybe an almond note to it. But a really pleasant cigar,
Yeah, it's
well
very good.
balanced. But I think for people out there that are fans of Nicaraguan tobacco, that have round notes but also have a driving spice to them, this has it.
Yeah.
Some people might say that there's like a cinnamon note, but to me it almost crosses the threshold into kind of pepper to me.
It's definitely spicy through the nose.
Right. And it's funny to look at the cigar. In my mind, I always think more round flavors. And it does have a roundness to it, so it's not super aggressive, but the spice really shines through considering the darkness of the wrapper. And I have to attribute that to the uniqueness of that Cuban seed wrapper grown in Connecticut. Because it's a different animal than Connecticut broadleaf. It's a different animal than San Andreas. The dominant Maduros on the market. This is like an Oscuro wrapper, which packs a lot of spice, but it gives great balance to the tobacco on the inside.
It's definitely a unique wrapper.
Well, yeah, the blend itself is, it wakes the palate.
Yeah.
It's very different from anything that we smoke on a regular basis, that's for sure.
I mean, when I bridge it to the nose, I get like almost, and I guess I could attribute that to the hickory note, almost like that barbecue. It's almost like a
Mesquite?
Yeah, it's almost like a mesquite.
Yeah, I just retrohaled it again. I did it a little bit in the beginning. I retroed it when we first lit up.
But I definitely like the complexity and the change of flavors.
Yeah.
And I did get that cinnamon note that you were talking about. Kind of reminded me of like an Irish potato,
Ooh, I love Irish potatoes.
which they're excellent.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the coconut, but definitely getting the cinnamon, which is good, and I like that. I like that note in the cigar.
Well, I mean, the fact that it has a little nuttiness to it, and it has a little kind of like dark, semi-sweet chocolate note to it. You can get that yin and yang, like that cinnamon, and obviously, cut by a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
Don't have to necessarily be coconut, but I know what you're saying.
Yep.
When you think of like Irish potatoes, they're like little cinnamon bombs.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, but this cigar definitely has some pop to it. As I'm smoking the cigar, it's even getting stronger.
Definitely picking up in strength.
So to me, it speaks of a late in the day, after dinner cigar, something that's nice and bold.
And that's why I actually like this particular size, which is the Sojourn.
Right.
The prequel is the one that got the #1 cigar of the year.
Right. So the prequel, just for people
It's a
out there,
Robusto size.
It's a Robusto size, and the
And
Sojourn.
the Sojourn's a Toro.
A Toro.
And I like the fact that, you got a little more time. It develops a lot more,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When you see a rating from Cigar Aficionado, they give it the #1 cigar of the year. Of course, people want to try the exact cigar.
Right.
But what you might find is that you might like that better. It's the same exact blend in a different size. And not only that, for selfish reasons for me, the Robusto, the prequel, is extremely good, but it's short, and I want more.
Right.
So that's why this Toro size, the Sojourn, it just suits me a little bit better.
Yeah, that's why I always usually choose a Toro, because I always want more when I'm smoking the cigar.
Yeah, and it gives it an opportunity to have a little bit more transitions. It might smoke a little bit more intensely in the prequel size.
Right.
And if that's your thing and that's your size, then go for it. But I want people to realize if that size is not available, that you could try it in another size. It's the same tobacco. It will hit the palate in a different way, but you might actually enjoy that more than the size that actually got rated. But the blend, that can't be questioned. The blend is rock solid, well-deserved the rating of 98, and well-deserved #1 cigar of the year by Cigar Aficionado.
Yep.
And speaking of, we're talking about bold flavors. Today, for a pairing, picked a very special
My
bourbon.
favorite part of the video.
So I have to say, the highlight of my day when we make the videos is just sitting next to you.
Thank you.
Probably my second favorite part is the pairing. And today, we kind of went back to the well.
Okay.
In previous videos, we used Widow Jane,
Which is great.
phenomenal, out of Brooklyn, New York, right? Today, chose the Baby Jane.
Yeah, so I never even had that before. I never even heard of it.
Cool story, but you know what? Before we actually get into the story, let's get a little pour.
All right.
All right?
Yep.
You do the honors?
I'll do it.
My man. Salud.
Salute.
Woo. Good.
A lot of orange.
A lot of orange. Absolutely. You read my mind. Mm-hmm. You know what? Anytime we do this, I would like to by the way, full disclosure, we've never had this before.
No, we've had the Widow Jane.
We had the Widow Jane, but we never had Baby Jane.
No, totally different
Absolutely.
spirits.
So the first two things that jumped out at me was orange and like salted caramel. Mm-hmm. They're the two things that immediately came to my mind. I like to do that when I'm having a cigar for the first time. I'm eating a dish for the first time. Like right away think to myself, like, what jumps out at me? Mm-hmm. And with this Baby Jane,
Orange came first.
Absolutely. Orange, salted caramel. I'm also getting like kind of like a maple note. Mm-hmm. But it has all the classic kind of bourbon notes that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think it's like very warming, but I wouldn't say it's hot, right?
No, it's not hot. Mm-mm. It's what is it?
91 proof.
91.
Right?
Yeah.
So a little background about Baby Jane. You know, you talk about artisanal craftsmanship. They actually grown their own corn varietal, an heirloom corn.
Wow.
For this process, and it's called Baby Jane. They coined the name Baby Jane, and they obviously use it for this bourbon, and also they use artisanal water from their own resource that goes through limestone, which produces this phenomenal artisanal water that they use. So, you know, their theory over at Widow Jane is essentially to use the best quality raw materials to make a superior product.
That makes sense.
It really does.
Sure.
I mean, you put that kind of TLC into a product, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Because to me, it reminds me of the cigar industry. Mm-hmm. All the steps and the whole process that you go through to produce a phenomenal blend like this EPC pledge, they put that kind of work into putting, obviously, raw materials that are superior into a product to make it shine, right? So distilled in Kentucky, but also in Brooklyn, New York, which is cool. Obviously, a great story out of Brooklyn, New York, using artisanal water, using their own varietal of corn to produce this outstanding bourbon. And I have to say, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I agree.
I think it's really well done. And I think it pairs really well with this EPC pledge.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think, when I think of the pledge, I think bourbon might be the right pairing. I mean, obviously you could do it with whatever your favorite spirit is. I'm not saying it wouldn't go with a great rum or maybe scotch, if scotch is your thing.
Yeah.
But the blend itself is bold enough to stand up to almost any spirit when I think about that. And I like the fact that this is only 91 proof. It's not quite 100 proof.
Right.
Because not that I think it would overshadow the strength of the cigar and the boldness of the cigar. I just like that balance when it just kind of like pushes the boundary and it gets to, it's almost like its peak, but yet it's not too aggressive.
Right.
I prefer that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes I want a higher proof.
Yeah.
You know, but for this tasting, I think this is perfect.
I think it's really
You know what we should do, by the way?
Go ahead.
We should come up with our own whiskey.
Really?
Yeah, and we could use the artisanal Delaware River water.
Oh, okay. I don't think that
It's the best water in the country, I heard.
Nah, I think we should leave it to Widow Jane and their resources up in Rosendale, New York.
Well, it was just an idea.
Well, it's got to run through limestone. It's a whole process.
Well, it doesn't have to run through limestone.
Well,
we could run it through something else.
Yeah? What could you run it through?
I don't know.
What are you going to run it through?
We'll figure it out.
Gravel? What are you doing?
We'll figure it out.
But hey, you know, all kidding aside, another cool part of that mine that's upstate New York where this water's resourced from, the cement that was there at that mine, they actually used to build the Brooklyn Bridge. Serious? I'm serious.
That's pretty crazy.
So Widow Jane actually owns the mine up in Rosendale, New York. But the history behind it is so cool because it's so entrenched as a Brooklyn company.
Right.
And the distillery, they're very proud of where they're from. But that's like it's a historic site. It really is. You could actually take tours of that mine area, and the water source, which is goes through the limestone,
Right.
is there deep in that
Well,
mine.
maybe when I go upstate fishing, I'll see if I pass through that area and I'll go check it out.
Well, maybe we can go on a tour one day.
All right.
I mean,
I'm in.
If the people at Widow Jane would have us, we'd love to tour the facilities.
Yeah.
And drink some of your artisanal water. Maybe have a couple ears of your artisanal corn.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
A lot of butter.
A lot of butter. And then we'll drink the byproduct of both products, right?
I'm in.
This phenomenal bourbon.
I'm in.
Right? We'll bring cigars for the crew over at Widow Jane.
Yeah.
You think they're cigar smokers?
We'll see.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You made me think of something, by the way.
What?
Cheers.
Salute.
We should give the audience like a little fotch fact. We don't talk about your personal side. You mentioned fishing a little bit. Give our guys out there a little fotch fact of the day. Something that maybe people don't really know about you. What's an interesting fact that they don't know about you that's very interesting?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think on that one.
You're not good on the fly? That's perfect.
No, I'm not good on the fly at all.
Well, you just found out something.
But I
about
can
you.
fly fish.
You can. Oh, there you go. You can fly fish. So you gave him two pieces of information. You like to fly fish, and you're terrible on the spot.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe we should add that into each episode, I think.
I think, yeah, a fotch fact.
Fotch fact.
Okay? But it can't be premeditated per se.
No.
I can't use it every time, but once in a while I'll hit you with it.
Yeah, yeah,
You spit
and I'll
it
come
out.
up with it. Yeah.
So we found out a lot about you today.
Yeah.
You like to fly fish. Okay.
Yep.
And you can't.
I mean, I do like to fly fish, but I mainly conventional fish
Yeah.
when I'm on the boat.
Right.
So
You ever use dynamite?
no,
Oh.
I don't use dynamite or corn.
No?
No.
No corn?
No live bait.
Well, listen, this corn's getting us right now.
I
That
know
baited
that.
us right in.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave the corn to the people.
Yeah.
Keep it away from the fish.
I'm not going to mention any names, but somebody wants to come on the boat and want to use corn. I told them they can't.
Really?
Artificial lures only.
Okay. All right. Well, that's three things. You got to save it. You just gave out 3 fotch facts in one episode. I wanted 1. You gave us 3.
All right. Well.
All right.
I mean,
So, Fotch, what do you think overall of the pairing?
I think you're 100% on all the pairings that you've picked so far.
Well, I mean, it's not. It's a collective
Well,
effort.
I understand, but you really did well on this pairing and all the rest of the pairings that we've had in the past.
Well, let's face it. Ernie did the work with the cigars,
Yep.
right? The EPC. Widow Jane did the work with the bourbon. I mean, obviously, we put it together today.
Yeah.
But I always like to ask you that, like, if you enjoyed it. And also, is this something that you would put together at home yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, this is something I don't have in my collection, so
I'll tell you what, for people out there who've never had it, if you're a bourbon fan, if you never had Widow Jane in general.
I mean, I do
support-
like the Widow
Dude,
Jane.
And listen, it's
All their
awesome. It's
products.
an awesome story about a Brooklyn company who's dedicated to the history of Brooklyn. Very small batch. As a matter of fact, everything's done in small batch from them. They label on the side, this is batch 112, and it actually has the year 2024 on there. But everything is small batch with them, which I really like because it truly is artisanal
Yep.
bourbon, which I enjoy. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you, bud.
Salud, brother.
Salud.
Salud. And of course, I want to thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. But before we depart, make sure you hit that like button.
Smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you here next time.
What a great pairing.
Good job. Yeah.